So, a little bit of housekeeping before we start the meeting. There is Wi-Fi here if you haven't discovered it already. It's guest, SSID guest, and there's no password. You just agree to the terms and conditions. Please limit your Wi-Fi usage. We need as much bandwidth as we can because we're webcasting today. So we'd like to be able to do that relatively smoothly. You've seen that food and beverages are permitted here, but please let's clean up before we leave. Our schedule is our adjourn time is 8:30 p.m. and we actually have 3 speakers tonight, so it's going to be very tight. And hopefully you found the restrooms while you were out enjoying pizza and roll-ups and ice cream. So if not, if you're facing the kitchen, the women's is to the right and the men's is to the left. So I want to start out by giving special thanks to Nissan here at Kathy. Oh, charging.
Is anybody done topping off? We really need it.
Yeah, charging.
Left, now we'll get it to Santa.
Right. So yeah, if you're pretty much done with charging, or you're just hopping off, if you wouldn't mind moving and seeing Kathy or Rick.
Fast charger is right around
Right, there's a fast charger right around the corner.
There is.
So.
Okay. All right. But if anybody gets done before we need them.
Okay. Good. Thank you for reminding me. So special thanks actually to Nissan for having us here in their Silicon Valley facility and hosting the meeting. The people who are responsible for it are Greg Dibb, who's sitting here and will be speaking in a couple of minutes. Kaori King, who arranged a lot of the things that we're doing tonight. Koji, who has visited us many times, and Martin Searhouse, who is the director of the center, but he's not here tonight. He's actually on a plane flying back from Seattle. He told me privately in an email that he was very excited about getting this relationship expanded beyond what it's been already, and be looking forward to having more interaction with the group as time goes on. Also, we have some special welcome today. They're not in yet. Nissan Zero Emission Business Unit will be joining us by our WebEx meeting at 7 o'clock, which is why I'm going to hurry through right here in the beginning. And we also have, forgot to do a slide on this, but Jonathan and Ashley, who are from TBWA Chiat Day. Jonathan was formerly the social media manager, and now tells me he's now digital for all of digital for Nissan. And Ashley is now the social media manager. So if you interact with Nissan on the Facebook page, the Nissan Leaf Facebook page, those are the people that run that. So. And Twitter, yeah. Okay, quickly on the agenda. So we have a few acknowledgments to get to. We'll give new people a chance to stand up and introduce themselves. As I mentioned, we have 3 presentations tonight on different topics. The first is going to be an overview of what's going on here at the Research Center. Then we have Mike Higginbotham from Franklin, who will talk about product planning. And specifically about how Nissan takes feedback from drivers like us and what they do with it. Actually, at 7 o'clock, so we're a little bit out of order here, but Kiho Oga from Nissan will dial in and she'll be giving a short presentation. And I think we have a 2-question survey that Koji was going to, it's busy, right? Koji may be circulating for us to fill out. And then hopefully we'll have some time to do our usual announcements and meetings and things. So quickly, acknowledgement. Of course, I want to thank many of our generous members who have donated money to make things possible. Some of you have donated again tonight to help defray the cost of the pizza and the ice cream. So thank you to everyone who's donated in that way. Marina actually arranged all of the food and the registration. So that was really good. George and Jeff basically set up to do the WebEx that we're doing, so people can join us remotely. Understand that we have several people from Japan Oregon and Washington State. We can probably check that in a little while here that are joining us. So thanks to those guys for getting that all set up. Jeannie Lamb, who has been to our meetings before, who stepped out. Jeannie basically arranged for Mike to be one of our speakers tonight. So, you'll see she's got some events coming up that she wants some help with as well. And of course, our commercial sponsors who have contributed some good sums of money to help defray our operating costs. So we have a new one that we'll be announcing a little bit later. Okay, so before we get to Greg, for those of you, who's the first timer here at the meeting? Oh, we've got lots. Could you, if you're willing to, please stand up and just say, like, introduce yourself for 5 seconds, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but all right, well, thanks to everyone. Thanks especially to the new folks for coming. You'll be on our future mailing list and get email announcements of what's going on with San Francisco BayLEAFs. So again, we're under a little bit of time pressure tonight, so I want to bring Greg Dibb up, who's the Senior Manager of Operations and Strategy here at the Nissan Silicon Valley Research Center. He's been with Nissan for 9 years in various capacities. Originally started down in Southern California, moved to Franklin when headquarters moved out there. Has been at various locations in the country and is just here recently, right? Yeah, okay. So he's going to give an overview of what they do here. Great.
Thanks, Howard. I'm glad to be here. I was super excited you guys are like famous at Nissan. I'm serious. Like, we get updates about you in our monthly communication email updates. In fact, I'll show one at the end of my presentation. I will say though, my son didn't know about you, and so when I was telling my wife that I was going to be speaking to the BayLEAFs, my son got super excited and ran back and got his Pokemon encyclopedia and came back, and now he thinks I'm so cool, and I didn't have the heart to tell him it was different things. So if any of you ever meet my son, don't tell him. Right? Don't tell him the difference.
Howard, it's your marketing time.
Yeah. Okay, so first I was going to tell a little bit about manufacturing, because I actually came here in December for manufacturing. Now, given the time, I'm not going to show the cool video, but I think one thing that's exciting about the Nissan Leaf is that now we build it in Smyrna, Tennessee. We build it here in the U.S., and it's built on the same lines as the Nissan Altima and the Nissan Maxima, which is pretty cool. And so I just came out here in December. And actually, the job immediately before this one, I was a production manager, actually on the truck assembly line. But at the same time, they were doing the prototype builds for the Leaf, and we were all very excited about it. Of course, the battery plant was built there over the last several months. But having the Nissan Leaf in Smyrna has actually been very exciting for Nissan. And it's one of the reasons that I think we can build it so economically, because we've made our line flexible enough that we can fluctuate between Altima, Maxima, and the Leaf, which is pretty innovative. My background is, and my grad school is actually in systems engineering and manufacturing management. And so I studied what's called lean manufacturing. Are there any manufacturing people in here? I'm just curious. 2, all right. And have you heard of lean manufacturing before? Okay, good. So I'm the one Nissan North America, or I should say the first, there are more joining us, from Tennessee that came here to Sunnyvale for this research facility. But because I've been in a few different groups, I'm kind of the connection back to the auto business, as well as what I hope to do is take some of what we've learned in the Nissan Production Way and apply it to Nissan Research. And what I've learned is there's actually a lot of things that relate. So for one thing, Nissan Production Way talks about always being in sync with customers. And you can see there's 1, 2, and 3. Synchronization of quality, so that we don't accept defects, we don't build defects, we don't pass them on. Synchronization of cost. In other words, we're not going to spend resources on things that our customers don't care about. And synchronization of time. We don't do things before they want it, we don't do things after they want it. We try to be in sync. So what I've learned is, that's very similar, obviously, to our research efforts. So here, we're looking at things that are 5, 10, 15 years in the future, but we need to be connected with people such as yourselves that are users and maybe even early adopters and those with even better understanding of the usefulness of the product, what issues there might be, what things we can do to improve. And so our goal, of course, here is you can see what we call the lean research cycle, which is the plan part is the scenario development. What's a scenario where we might use this technology? This is a really hard word to say, so I'll try it here. Ethnographical user observation. In other words, we actually watch you, or we interview you, we talk to you, we learn what it is, how you would use this technology. And then, of course, the design of the prototype and the design of the product that we want to build is based on those human needs, on those human factors. And then, of course, we actually want to do real tests in the real world. And then, based on what we learn from those real tests, we then do another scenario. And the point is, fast research cycles yield faster learning, yields better products. So, this research center here is actually, we're the newest research center. We've got a new research center in Russia, in India, of course in Michigan, and Japan historically has been where the primary amount of research has happened, and as a new strategy, we're starting to distribute some of that research work. And this facility primarily focuses on three things that we'll talk about here. The main thing I'm going to talk about is autonomous vehicles, because that's really our priority, the one we're starting with. But also connected vehicle services and HMII, or human machine interface and interaction. And really, they're all interwoven in lots of different ways. I'm primarily going to talk a little bit about autonomous vehicles because that's the one that we've gotten started on first and the one that I'm most excited about, and the one I've prepared slides for. So this is the first known visual concept of an autonomous vehicle, and it's kind of cool. It's a little hard to see, but you can see this guy in the front here. I'm gonna point with my mouse. Does that work? It looks like he has an iPad. Does anybody else notice that? How cool is that? I mean, I seriously think he's playing Angry Birds on an iPad, which is even more foresightful than putting an autonomous vehicle, I would say. And then she's reading a book. He's cleaning windows. I don't know, but I thought this was pretty cool. 1918, it's in the Scientific American, talking about this idea, only 15 years after Henry Ford's Model T. So now, this is the first, unless you count this, right? So as I've been researching autonomous vehicles, I read a particular article, and there was a comment from a guy who said, "Oh man, my grandfather had autonomous vehicles in the 19th century," and he talked about how he ran a warehouse that delivered goods to general stores around Germany. So this is in the 1800s, and because he ran the same route like every day, the oxen knew the route, and they would even stop in front of the store for the exact amount of time to unload goods. They'd start going again. So he'd have to, so he could sleep on the car. He could go do something else and hop back on before the oxen left. So that's qualified by the fact, and this might be a new research domain for us, is the use of oxen in autonomous vehicles. So this is pretty cool too. If you look, after that initial picture, you look at what you can see. 1939 World's Fair is when people really started to hear and see this concept. Gosh, it must be close. At least they thought in 1939. And then by 1953, in Driving the Dream, they actually had, this is pretty cool. It's this scale model highway system. These World's Fairs must have been cool. But you can see the idea has been around for a long time. Now, DARPA, which is an acronym for the government has a lot of money to do cool things, created the DARPA Grand Challenge in 2005, which really helped kickstart a lot of this technology. And Stanley, which is Stanford's car, actually won in 2005. So this is through the Mojave Desert, no driver, you have a map, they put obstacles in the road, and the car has to figure out how to get around them and get to the end. That was pretty cool, and PBS did show on that. Now, the Discovery Channel did the one on 2007, which is the DARPA Grand Urban Challenge, which was really pretty cool. And I got to show this video. Hold on, let me see. I hope this works. Uh-oh. I don't know what that says. What does it say?
Windows Media Player is gone, has a bug. So.
Has crashed. Does not work on this machine. That's too bad. It wasn't that good a video anyway. So the good news is, as I say right here, you can watch it on Netflix and YouTube. And but it's honestly like, so when I first heard about this center, I started watching this show. It's a Discovery Channel show on robocars, and it's really exciting to watch. You know, it's like your typical reality TV where they make everything seem exciting, and everything's dramatic with dramatic music. So, but it's super exciting because you have, I think it was 13 finalists that actually made it to this abandoned Air Force base in Southern California, which is another thing that the government has a lot of. And there's this urban course, and so there's four-way stops, and there's little obstacles they put in the road that you might find in the city, much more complex than going through a desert. And CMU, or Carnegie Mellon's vehicle, actually won this race. So again, I recommend you check it out. It's a pretty exciting little season series to watch. And again, that helped jumpstart research, that helped jumpstart the technology into autonomous vehicles. So these are a couple of shots, and the other good thing about the DARPA Challenge is pretty much all their stuff is made available publicly, and that's part of kickstarting the technology. So you can look, so you can look at these papers and you can see what kind of technology they use. Now this is 6 years old at this point, and the things that we're working on are very similar. This is just easier to show for now. So. And this might have been impressive in 2007, a 4 GB flash drive, right? Or 2 GB of memory. But since now those are like $5 at Fry's. But hey, that's part of what's making this possible now, right? So even though they dreamed about it in the 30s, part of what's making it possible is massive amounts of storage, massive amounts of computational power, so that when you have these sensors, all these sensors on the computer seeing this, you have the computational power to try to figure out what that is, and here, basically what the CPUs are all doing is they're bringing in the input from the sensors, they're calculating an optimum route. Basically the way it works is you can see the red and the black; those are what the computer considers high cost routes, i.e., you might lose your car. That's expensive. So go where it's white, right? And so that's what's starting to make this possible, is all, Moore's Law, really. It's giving us all this computational power and all this storage, and it's increasing at an accelerated rate. So, okay, so obviously the biggest benefit, one of the biggest benefits of autonomous vehicles is the safety, right? And there are a few different stages of autonomous vehicles, and that is in our research plan. So the first, and we've got stuff like this now, and I'll give examples, is driver initiated. In other words, I turn on the adaptive cruise control, or I turn on some feature, and then the car does its function, right? Now, the other thing that gets a little more interesting, and we have some of these on the market now, and every once in a while it might freak people out, but in general, they improve the safety, and I'm not going to say in general, almost always they improve the safety of the vehicle. So, car initiated, where the car sees that there's something dangerous and it basically takes over, it intervenes. And a middle step there is where the car sees something and it alerts you, right? So there's a lot of those out there. Well, the next step after seeing and alerting, the next is the car see it and I'm overriding you. So that happens in a few things. I'll show specifics in the next slide. And obviously the great thing about this is fewer number of accidents. People who are impaired, now a lot of people think that means driving drunk, which that doesn't usually make people, that doesn't usually touch a soft spot in their heart for a new technology. But more so than that is the aging population, right? So I know an awkward time in a family's life is when you have to take the keys away from grandpa, right? Well, hopefully we can get this technology to the point where instead of taking the keys away from grandpa, it's giving him the new keys of a Leaf that's autonomous, right? And so it's actually an exciting moment, and not just those that are aging but also vision impaired. And so there's a popular Google video, for example, that Google's done with a person that's visually impaired, and there's all kinds of possibilities for that, which of course drive us to develop this technology. And then another one that selfishly increased productivity. Is that, during my morning commute, I can do whatever I want while the car drives me there, or on a road trip, or whatever it is, or like the guy in the picture playing your iPad, Angry Birds. And part of what our philosophy is, which I think you might see a little different from other companies that are developing this, is the car and the person or the driver as teammates. And this is a lot of where a lot of people we've hired have come from NASA, where they've worked and focused on this teammate concept. When in artificial intelligence, this thing or this either machine or computer acts as an agent on your behalf, and you actually work together as a team. And so the example that we use is an equestrian and a horse. Right? So the car is not going to do things that scare me or that I don't understand if it's designed well with those human factors to communicate back and forth. And it's like an equestrian and a horse where they're always communicating. It flows smoothly. There's nothing awkward about it, right? And that's part of the research we have to focus on. So how long? Well, I'll just say this. Autonomous vehicles are actually here, right? Some of the examples I gave, like adaptive cruise control, we've got on vehicles, they've been driving people crazy for a few years now. So, but they're getting better. And I wanted to show, Nissan has a concept called the safety shield. And there's a lot of examples of these semi-autonomous technologies that we have in our vehicles and that you will see soon. So, one, for example, this one, backup collision intervention. We have this on a couple of vehicles. So if you're backing out of your driveway, this one means a lot to me now because I have kids that love to somehow escape from the garage and ride their bike, down the sidewalk and back before I can catch them. Well, if a car is backing up out of the driveway, and they got bushes because they got annoying neighbors, so as they're backing up, they don't see the kid on a bike coming through, but the car can see it because the bumper emerges from those shrubs. It sees something there, and rather than just alert, hey, you might want to look, it actually stops the car, right? It actually stops the car. You've also got emergency assist for pedal misapplication, which I know from experience from some friends happens a lot, and where you're pulling into a parking spot and you think you're stomping on the brake, or you meant to stop on the brake and you accidentally stomp on the gas. Well, the car can figure out, I'm in a parking lot, I don't think you meant to do that. I'm going to wait. Then, of course, blind spot intervention and warning. We've got that on vehicles now, where, again, it will either alert you or override you when you try to change into a lane, and there's a car there in your blind spot, right? Lane departure. That's been around for a while. Forward emergency braking, similar to backup collision, just in the front. Now, this is a cool one, and I wonder. Oh shoot! Now the video probably won't work on this one. Hold on. It's this one right here. I'm going to try a new trick called open with. Wait. If it exists. Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. Okay, and there's even cool music on here, which I cannot take credit for, nor would I. Okay, so this is the autonomous emergency steering system, which is also pretty cool. So let's say you're, and this actually, an accident like this, something like this happened to my dad, because as you drive from Nashville to Atlanta, Chattanooga's always backed up for some reason. And so you're driving along at 70 miles an hour, you're thinking about who knows what, and then all of a sudden cars are dead stopped in front of you. This happens, right? Like, well, heck, you guys are in California, this happens to you every day. So here's an example of where, again, computers and sensors can see this happening and then intervene. It's pretty cool, huh? So again, you see, and in this case it gives you a little bit of alert and then it takes over and steers. Now it does have sensors, see, to know I'm clear on the left side. Usually it would be like the shoulder of a road perhaps, something like that, but I'm clear on the left back, left front, and I'm able to go. So, there we go. So again, that's another example of Nissan Safety Shield. Okay, so we're almost there, right? At least maybe we could say that. However, there's just a few small issues to work out before we're completely at the fully autonomous state. Now, what do you guys think are the biggest, how do I say, obstacles to, Legal, there you go. Yeah, and I like lawyers. It's like they say, deep down, they're all good people. which is why they buried them 10 feet down. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if you're going to say any more, but I spoiled what I was already going to say, which is society accept them. And in fact, Cisco did a survey just, gosh, a couple months ago, and different countries are widely varied on whether or not they would accept, at least they say that they would accept autonomous vehicles. So Brazil was like the #1 country. You know, they want one now. You know, I don't care if it Rex, put me in it now. You know, other countries were less enthusiastic. The U.S. is somewhere in the middle. And in fact, a lot of people think that the autonomous vehicles might be implemented first in places like China, in urban areas in China, or places where the litigious society isn't as hyperactive as we see there. So, right? My friend Brad Templeton, as he says, you know, on the balance, it's a good thing, right? But so let's say autonomous vehicles can stop half of the wrecks, but maybe they still cause some. You know, as Brad Templeton says, people don't like getting killed by robots. It's his quote, and so they would rather get killed by a person who makes a bad decision than a robot who makes a bad decision, and that's part of society, obviously. Now the good news is I went to a We Robot conference at Stanford Law School just a couple months ago, and it was actually encouraging to see there are lawyers out there that specialize in these things. In fact, we had one, Brian, I can't think of his last name right now, from Stanford that's focused on this kind of thing right now, and it was encouraging to see the legal world excited about this and looking for ways to make it and enable this. Yeah, to make money off of it. Maybe that's what they were doing, darn it. Should have known. Okay, so just a couple of examples real fast. Actually, I'll just skip through most of this. So, you know, you got self-parking, you got simple stuff, which is going to happen first, semi-autonomous. The car can park itself. Nissan demonstrated this at CTEC last year, this little leaf right here. You know, you got traffic jam assist, that's on its way. Driving on a highway is pretty simple. You know, I mean, the simple stuff is almost here. It's practically here. Then you've got the slightly more complex where you're doing stuff as a service, where you use autonomous vehicles and car sharing. You know, maybe the only thing they do autonomous is they go back home at 3 a.m. when the roads aren't crowded, and they can handle that because that's simple. The real exciting stuff is people own their own autonomous vehicles, so I can go on a road trip. Now that has its pluses and minuses if you have kids. It's nice when I'm the driver and there's a fight in the back. I can ask my passenger to take care of that. But if the car's driving, I would have to help resolve those things and figure out whose chicken nugget that really was. But there's a lot of opportunity, and this is obviously further down the road. But reduced collisions, and now if there aren't so many collisions, now the vehicles can be lighter. They don't need as many safety features, right? So you're going to save money on that. Insurance should be cheaper unless the lawyers get hyperactive. And then just again, the flexible in-cabin time, you can use that time for other things. Obviously, we talked about age and disabled passengers. So, and then of course, the fully autonomous is it doesn't need a driver there to take over in case there's an emergency. If it goes into safe mode, it can go by itself in full traffic anytime. So this is our autonomous vehicle that we were working on. Stay tuned because you saw our little research cycle. We plan to do some public demos sometime in the near future. Can't say specifically when or what, but it should be coming up soon. So,
Can you say where?
Maybe. California, probably. But yeah, we'll when it's public, we'll certainly invite you guys. So, what next? I just want to let you guys know a little pitch about a podcast. We have a meeting here. We have speaker series here, and we record it. Certain groups might specifically be invited in person, but we make it available on iTunes for podcasts. So search iTunes for Driving Innovation. I also lead a meetup group called Silicon Valley Autonomous Vehicle Enthusiasts. And Brad Templeton, the guy I talked about just earlier, he spoke last month, and that's available on the podcast and also on this website. I wanted to thank everybody for inviting me here to speak. I figured it was because I was made famous when we made it in the newspaper. I was at the Western Automotive Journalist Conference, and that's my foot right there. I was so excited I sent this picture to all my friends and said I'm on the newspaper in California.
Those coffee pots on top of the roof.
Yeah, these are coffee pots, yeah. Well, they don't have quite the technology we do. So these are our little Epro robots right here. And these are those laser sensors, by the way, LASIK sensors, which are basically, you have spinning mirrors, or in this case, rotating mirrors, and lasers on multiple lines that are very good at detecting an obstacle and knowing exactly its location. So pretty much everybody uses the same kind of sensors. And I skipped through that slide pretty quick. But come to find out, it wasn't because of my being prominently figured on the newspaper, but unfortunately, Martin had to be out of town last minute, so maybe it had something to do with that. And so he asked me, and I had a video of Martin. Is this going to work? Because Martin really wanted to say something. Sorry. I'm going to let you do that again.
It's going.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, good evening. I'm Martin Searhouse, the director of Diesel Research Center Silicon Valley, and I want to wish you a warm welcome here at the Research Center to all the members of the SF BayLEAFs. We're really excited to have you guys here, have your monthly meeting. I wish I could be there in person, but as I'm speaking, I'll be on a plane back from Seattle to San Francisco, and I apologize for not being there. I do want to tell you, however, that we are hoping to have you collaborate with us in the future on exciting research projects where we would use your expertise and knowledge of your cars to work together on great research projects to make the Leaf even a better car than it is today. So hopefully we can work together in many different ways, and I'll make sure that next time you have a meeting, I'll be there in person, and we hopefully can talk about this in more detail. I wish you a lot of fun tonight, and please let us know if we can be of any help. Thank you again for coming, and enjoy the evening.
Okay, so, and with that, this is a cool picture. This is one of the pictures that was emailed to us a couple months ago. I thought that was a brilliant picture. So as the title says, let's sync and innovate together. And as Martin said, I know he's very excited to work with this group in the future. Our goal is to be very customer focused. We don't develop technologies and research that matters to people. And so, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Is Japan in yet, or not yet? So I guess while we're waiting for Japan, we'll take some. Ray, can you take questions?
Oh yeah, I guess I can do that.
Okay, good. Tom.
I was wondering, is the Leaf drive-by-wire enough that to make an autonomous vehicle, you just have to put computers in to talk on buses, or you actually have to put in turbo someplace?
So, where's Yoshi? Where's my helper? So it's drive-by-wire, but it's not steer-by-wire, which is what you need. Right? So you have to make a few changes. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, driving in a severe storm, how do you keep the sight from being impaired?
So it depends on the sensors, right? And most of the sensors that you have in an autonomous vehicle are usually the laser sensors that I mentioned, like a Velodyne, and those that the weather hardly affects them at all. Now cameras, weather can affect cameras, but we're developing computer vision that can get around that too. So usually by a multitude of sensors, and what you do is you take the computers to merge that data and interpret, and then basically you calculate a probability of what's happening, and your probability is so high once you've merged the data from all these different sensors that you make a 99.999% precision computer, I think. Yes?
How do you handle snow? What if snow is covered everything?
So the question was, how do you handle snow? So the way it's handled now is that you have very detailed maps, right? And well, the easy answer is that's not completely figured out yet. But so the way it's handled now is you have very detailed maps, and you have much more, you have much higher resolution GPS, and you have certain waypoints and certain landmarks that you can recognize even if there is snow. So again, it goes back to the multi-sensors. That would trick one sensor, but it's not going to trick all of the sensors. Yes?
Have you done any research on, and the more autonomy there is in driving these cars, if it just reduces driver's skill, so that you might save
Yeah.
some areas, but if people just become dumb and clueless after a while when they have to take over, they don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. I will say that's something we've discussed. I won't say that we've done research on that yet, but we certainly thought about that and discussed that, because you're absolutely right. One of the mid-steps would be that the car drives itself most of the time, and maybe it goes into some kind of safe mode, and it transitions in some safe way to the driver. Well, if the driver hasn't, if the driver's only driving 3 minutes a day, then, that's perhaps, how does this impact their skill? And especially if they're a 17-year-old, they didn't have any skill in the first place. Right. Yes?
Did you guys have some interesting discussions following the crash in San Francisco recently? Just think in terms of, like we were talking about, you have pilots that are,
Oh, the
thinking
airplane
planes
crash,
and-
okay.
yeah, that are thinking that they're in control of it, and yet, something terrible happened as a result.
Yeah. Now, what I'm interested to see, and certainly we have, but what I'm interested to see is to suspend judgment until I haven't read today what happens. What we do know is that over 80% of accidents are driver error, and in the case of airplanes, pilot error. So, again, the difficult thing for society is going to be that first accident that's the computer's fault, right, on a vehicle. Because most of the time, the airline industry, usually it's accidents are when the pilot or the co-pilot make a poor decision against what the computer recommends. I'm sure there's experts in here above me, yeah.
So what you need for that is the car black box is constantly recording what your autonomous vehicle drive is doing, and then you record when you avoid an accident, and you have to press out of that. So if this was a human driver, there's a 90% chance that would have been an accident of X severity, right? And now you've got that, so when you have that accident, then you can put it in the balance. So yes, the robot caused one accident, but avoided 9. What would happen with the human?
Yeah, and the hopes is that that the courts agree with that, right? That 90% improvement is a good thing. Yes.
Is there anything about an electric car that makes it easier for an autonomous vehicle?
I would say yes. There's a few reasons why that's true. One of which is the drive-by-wire, for example. Are we on now?
Keo's in, yeah. So go ahead and finish up the.
Okay.
And we'll,
Okay. And given that we have Nissan Leaf, we believe that to be true as well. And I was talking to Paul Sappho with my friend Kimmy over there, and as he said, something seems just improper about having an autonomous vehicle that runs on gas. It's just like you might as well have oxen, right? Let's be honest. There's no future in that. All right, thanks everybody. All right. All right, so thank you very much, and as for speaking here tonight, you actually have a choice of your gift, all right? So the official San Francisco BayLEAF shirt, extra large or small, so too small, but you're probably a large, right? Yeah, I'm a large. I can be extra large. I can eat into it. I have no problem with that.
That's the official one.
Thanks,
So,
Howard.
thanks again, Greg.
And now Koji is going to bring Kyo in from Japan. Do you want to do the introduction as well?
I just want to give a brief introduction of myself. I wish I could be seen at least by video, but unfortunately the computer I'm using won't allow me to do so. So my name is Kiho Ova. I'm in the Zero Emission Planning Division, and I heard that there was this gathering together, so I wanted to take the opportunity to have a quick chat with you about what we're trying to pursue in Zero Emission. And because I'm in the planning division, one of the things that we're looking at right now is BayLEAF has been in market for years. We've been working on how to build up the Zero Emission society, working with government, working with on the infrastructure side to have enough quick chargers on the road, looking at the batteries, etc. But what we really need to be looking at is not just now, but also 10 years down the road, where do we want to be? What kind of zero emission society can we envision? How is this going to impact customers' lives? And we're just starting to gather the voice of our customers and hear that you're at the forefront in terms of Nissan Leaf owners. I just wanted to give a brief introduction and then hopefully have a chance to meet with some of you in the future. So if I go to the next page, our mission as a department is basically enriching people's lives is something that we have as a company vision. And in order for us to be able to do so, we think there's twofold. One is creating that generation society. It's not just about the vehicle. We really need to consider the total environment. And it's quite a challenge because, in fact, in the past, automakers, the ultimate result for us is bringing the car to the market. And then once it's brought to the market, then customers will accept. Well, that's not the case with EV, and what we really need to look at is beyond just bringing it to the market, actually working and understanding where there are needs and being able to build up that surrounding as well. So that's one end. And then also what's important is EV is quite unique in the sense that if you think of it as a 1.5 kiloton vehicle, or you can think of it as 1.5 kiloton battery storage, then there's probably more value that we can bring beyond just the mobility factor. And that's the second factor we're looking at, is how do we create new value that we can bring to you. This is just, I have two groups that are looking at both factors. And what we are looking at right now is how do we create that society. So as I mentioned, where we want to be beyond 2020 when EVs grow significantly in number. I know there's a lot of issues that we have to tackle today, and certainly we're looking at that, but we also have to think of the future. So if you can kind of put your mind towards a little bit towards the future as well, we'd appreciate what kind of society do we want to create, and what role can you sometimes contribute. And if I had the chance to meet you in person, I engage in this discussion directly meeting you guys, but since it's kind of challenging, what I'd like to ask for your cooperation, if you have some time, is I just put together a quick questionnaire that Koji will hand out probably towards the end of the meeting. But the two questions that I wanted to ask you is the first one. What has changed your lifestyle by driving Leaf? Is there something new that you realized or experienced? Did your lifestyle behavior, values, or emotion change as a result, both positive and negative? I myself am a Leaf driver. I've been driving it for a year and a half right now, and I used to live in an apartment. By driving Leaf, I changed my lifestyle also to say, I want to live in the house and be able to charge at home. But not only that, the fact that I used to I'm quite more of a maybe fast-paced lifestyle. Living in the center of the city, I decided to move towards more of the rural areas where there's more green. The fact that you have to charge from time to time, I don't personally think is a negative. In fact, it's changing my lifestyle to make it more of a slow lifestyle, or being able to plan ahead, and that's not how I used to think of it in the past. So I see myself also changing as a result of owning a Leaf. So question to all of you is has there been anything that changed in your lifestyle by driving and owning a Leaf? That's the first question. And the second question is, presuming that you something has changed, can you elaborate what that would mean in your experience? Where did you feel that? More trying to imagine, okay, well, in one day, what has, how did your lifestyle look like in one day, and how has it changed as a result of driving Leaf? Or maybe the answer is there is no change. I'm living my life as it is today, and I'm perfectly happy. That's also okay. But these are the two questions I want to pose to all of you. And if you are willing to, in about 2 weeks' time, I have the chance to go to San Francisco. So if some of you will be willing to have a follow-up discussion I'd also like you to let me know if that's also acceptable. So it's a brief introduction. I don't know if you have any questions. If the questions are unclear, please let me know. But if not, I'd like to hand back the floor to Koji.
Questions? Anyone? No? Koji, you wanna?
Any questions? Okay, so as a key information about, I have a questionnaire here, and I appreciate you fill it up and put it in the behind of the desk over there when you leave. It's only the 2 questions, and hopefully it's going to be really easy. And there are also the profiles, and age, and gender, occupations, etc. So I give you now those paper and pencil, and make sure you bring back over.
Okay, and as far as coordinating when Kehoe is here in the San Francisco Bay Area, should we do that through you, Koji, or how should we do that?
So yeah, I can arrange that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're interested in participating, if maybe there'll be a special session, or perhaps Kehoe, would that be a possibility? Special?
Yes, I would love to meet you in person and just, chat. I know everyone's quite busy, so I may be asking for a lot, but I also know that many of you are very enthusiastic about driving a leaf and owning a leaf, so I'd like to share, listen and understand your experience as well. So I thank you very much for the opportunity, and hopefully I can meet you in person soon. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so is there a place I haven't seen the form yet, is there a place to indicate if you're interested in, having a second follow-up meeting?
Yes, in the questionnaire at the very end, I just asked if you're willing to be, if you're okay to be contacted, please fill in your name and email address, and I'll follow up.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. So, we saw the attendance list, or the remote attendees briefly, and you saw somebody up there, Billy. That's Billy Hayes, who's actually the Global Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the Leaf. So he's actually conferenced in from Japan. So let's say a big warm hello to Billy coming in from Japan. Okay, so we'll move on to our next presentation, which is going to be by Mike Higginbotham, who's out from Franklin to spend some time here in the Bay Area. He's a senior planner for EVs and sports cars in Franklin. He's been with the company for 8 years, but he's actually been on LEAF since the launch. And so he's going to, if any of you, probably most of you, remember Mark Perry. So Mike worked quite closely with Mark Perry, and so he's kind of taken over that mantle on the LEAF of what Mark was doing earlier on. So let's bring him up, and he's going to talk about how he takes feedback from owners like us and incorporates things into it.
How's everybody? Ready to talk about the product a little bit? Like he said, my name is Mike Higginbotham. I work in the product planning department, have been for 3 years. Since the LEAF launch, I work on 3 different vehicles. Our group's split up into different sections. Each planner in the group has a different program. I am in charge of LEAF, our 370Z, and GTR. So a little bit of wide range of vehicles there, but if you think about it, from a customer perspective, each one of those vehicles kind of has a unique buyer, someone who needs something specific out of the vehicle. So it translates a little bit, even though one is $105,000 and the other is around $30,000. So very interesting job. Product planning at Nissan, we work kind of the hub between, it's a regional position where we work with R&D, manufacturing, sales and marketing, program management, legal, web group. Pretty much everyone in Nissan, we're the experts on the product, they come through us. But our main goal is to communicate customers' wants and needs through our vehicles. So what I do is after research, advanced planning get done with the vehicle, it comes to product planning, and then we carry the vehicle through its life cycle, listening to customer feedback and translating that to different product attributes or whatever the customer might need. So just a brief overview here, and then we'll start to talk about how the BayLEAFs have helped with the new product Model Year 13. So I wish I was here a few months ago. I could have discussed the Model Year 13 as it was fresh. I've got some a little more in-depth stuff here to go over, but hopefully we can start a communication, and maybe each model year prior to launch we can discuss how everything's going, what's new for the model year, and how we move forward. So just to start off, it's been a really big year for Nissan. Well, the last 2.5, 3 years have been big for the Nissan Leaf. In particular, this last year we've made a lot of big changes in the organization, big changes in the car that hopefully will help push us to move from our early adopter groups to the pragmatic majority who don't really know a lot about the electric vehicles and the Leaf, but we want to bring in new people to join the family. So this year we started manufacturing the Leaf in Smyrna, Tennessee. As mentioned, Greg mentioned that. Big deal for us. We've got a battery plant up and running now. So it's really a big opportunity for us to make it here in the United States and sell throughout North America. So we'll be we have 3 manufacturing plants now, and one in Europe, one in Japan, and one in the US, all building the same product. We've revised our Leaf team this year, starting in April. I think we've added the new global sales team. You mentioned Billy Hayes. He's in charge of that. But Billy is here to help us break down barriers and to push Leaf even further. And his group will help us align each region, Europe, Japan, and the United States, and North America, to make that a global vision. We now have a dedicated infrastructure team. So before, our marketing team handled infrastructure and marketing of the vehicle. They've taken those 2 groups apart, and we have one group dedicated solely to improving the charging infrastructure across the United States. So I know I was just looking at San Francisco, I think has the most quick chargers in the country right now. So the infrastructure here is very good. And I think Nashville may be the Leaf to charger ratio may be a little better, but we don't have as many quick chargers. So we of course we have a lot of employees that drive Nissan Leafs too. So a lot of those on the road. So our marketing sales team's out there a lot more now, and our executive team has shown a huge commitment to this vehicle. It's almost every week that we're on the executive floor talking to our regional SVPs and all the way up to our CEO about Leaf's condition and how we can push it through the marketplace and grow what we've already set in motion here. Right now, sales are at record highs. I don't know if everyone's been watching, but we're really excited. We launched the Model Year 13. Sales have really taken off. We hope to keep that momentum going through product enhancements, through sales, infrastructure, and all of those. We've introduced new customer stuff. We've introduced a new state of health warranty just recently. That was a big win for us too. Hopefully for everyone here. You'll see that roll out here in the near future. So you have to excuse my stock pictures here. I don't know who these people are, but this is representative of the customers that we're seeing. This is an average, of course, of the age and who we're seeing the buyers are. But we're seeing the average age of the buyer come down a little bit. More females are buying. It was skewed more to the male side when we first launched. And the average household income, this is a combined household income, is coming down. So we're seeing more people become acceptance of the vehicle. We're making a movement from an early adopter to maybe a little bit further down the curve towards the pragmatic public. So we're really seeing a change, especially with the model year 13 Leaf, and I think we can see that in our sales. Right now, this data is a little bit old, so we're really close to 30,000, if not more, in the U.S. here. So a third of that maybe in the last few months. So it's really taken off. We've gone through some bumpy roads over the last few couple of years since 2010, but we're really making some big strides now. So before I go into this, I want to see if anyone recognizes. I hope you do, because this Mark Perry sent this to me. I don't know how long ago this was. Prior to Model Year 13 launch, very early on, Model Year 12s. This was a presentation put together by this group. I guess our CVE came and Mark Perry came to talk with your group, and this is what the feedback was. And honestly, this presentation here was passed around the organization and used many, many times as support to get product changes in the vehicle. So, and I think that's the big reason why I'm here. I want to, put this to you guys again. You've been on the road for another couple of years now. You're our biggest advocates, and you're there every day. So anything that you're seeing from the industry, product improvements, things that you feel that we've missed, things that you feel we've done well, we'd like to hear that again. So I know since Mark happily retired almost a year ago, the communication's been a little bit broken, but I think we're getting everything reorganized and back again. So we'd like to continue the dialogue. So what I wanted to show you though is just to quickly buzz through your suggestions, and then a presentation that I gave afterwards, of what really happened in the car. So charging related, driver experience, climate control, car wings, instrument displays, interior, exterior, and other. So all of these things here, I think you might see, most of the things here you might see in the Model Year 13 vehicle. State of charge, 6.6 kilowatt charger, built-in light and lock, charge time and EVSC, smaller, more portable. Of course, we'd all love this. Provide options for a larger pack with increased range. Battery health reports, state of charge meter, all of these things here, even to the air conditioning, the layout of the buttons here. Let me show you give you a little detail on what we've done in the 13 model. Kind of ties into this. So we added more options. We have an S-grade option now in the vehicle. It's a low price, non-navigation car. So for those of you who know where your charging stations are, this might work for you. And we're seeing this vehicle right here is a heavy seller. A lot of people are buying it, and it probably more than what we thought we would. More interior options. We have some more interior options. We have a leather interior now. We have a black interior. I know one of the slides showed that there was a glare from the dash pad onto the window, but with the black interior, it brings that down a little bit. Our 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger, I know that was a big want from the very beginning. And I think this one, and for owners like you, we can see this as a huge win. This really is kind of a game changer for this car. But for the general public, they don't really see that. So we've been trying to work on our communication, but charging the car in 3.5 to 4 hours from zero is a big improvement. That means that it's not overnight now, and that you can come home for lunch and you're half charged and you can fill up and be on your way. The hybrid heater system. Actually, how many Model Year 13 owners do we have in the room? So only a few. Okay, so Model Year 11 and 12 owners would be nice. This is what you guys asked. This is what we've done. So please visit your local dealer. Gene here will happily put you in the Model Year 13.
We have good trade-up options.
We have plenty of good options, and then that's one thing about the vehicle. We're around 80-90% leased. I think it's around 82% lease right now. So we're seeing a lot of people lease. We've got a great lease deal out there. So people are coming in. They're going for a 24 to 36 month lease because I think they see that we're going to continue improvements on this vehicle. But hybrid heater system was next. It's a heat pump system. I hadn't experienced it before I got in this car, and I'm telling you, the thing is quick. I mean, 30 seconds from cold to hot. And it actually, in cold weather situations, increases your range 20 to 30%. So really efficient, really good ad there. Brake mode, which is a third drive mode. We've taken the Eco button, the Eco is here in the center brindle. We put it on the steering wheel. And we've added in B mode, which is a deceleration, a higher regenerative braking when you're decelerating. Foot off the gas, slows you down a little bit more. Going down a hill, it helps with that. The display audio is for the non-navigation. It still has USB, still has your speakers there, so a really good audio system. Charge port, light and lock, and an iKey release. Now this was a big request, and I've even seen the little parties that have been conducted here, where they would wire in, or that was for the horn. We're still working on the horn, by the way. But the lights that they put on, it was hard to see when you plug in the gun. So this is a really good ad. When you open the charge port, the light comes on. Actually, when you plug in the gun, it locks. There's a setting inside the car so no one can come in and plug you. And also you can release it with your iKey. Added a new wheel, actually two new wheels. We have a steel wheel and a 17-inch really nice looking wheel. Some premium features, Bose and a round view monitor. They're on a premium package. You can get those. We didn't put them standard, but they're available as a package. Leather wrapped, heated steering wheel, hill start assist, and a couple new colors. We just talked about this. Big win for the car. 1 hour gives you about 25 miles of range. 2 hours 50. Of course, these are estimations, but you can see how this is a benefit versus model year 12 and 11s, versus the 3.3 kilowatt altogether. In fact, you can still get the 3.3 on the S grade. So if you wanted just an electric vehicle with bare bones, this is what you get. Some people are very good with that, and it's a big seller right now. This is a little picture of the charge port lock and the light and iKey release on inside the car and outside the car. The auto lock has got a button here. It's a 3-setting feature that you can put it on off, and then it won't lock your gun in. And then it has an auto. You plug it in, it starts charging. When it's done charging, it unlocks. So the next person can come along and they see your lights are off and take it. And then there's don't touch my gun, lock mode. So it locks it in. Pretty neat feature though.
Is that displayed somehow on the button there, or how do you know?
No, it's actually just a toggle button, and it's up to the user
To know
what setting it's on. I'm sorry?
How would you know which setting you're on?
You wouldn't, unless you looked inside the car.
Oh, I'm saying, where in the car do you see?
Oh, it's right here. It's like a toggle button right there.
Oh, you mean it toggles back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a hard
I thought
button.
you were just pressing it.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's a hard button in this area down here. Right by your heated steering wheel button.
Up, down.
Yeah. We learned a lot too from 11s and 12s. We're still learning. We're collecting data. The Global Data Center is every day collecting data from our drivers to improve the vehicle. We've actually have the same battery pack. It's reconstructed a little bit since when we came to Smyrna, we had the opportunity to re-engineer a lot of the cars. So the car, it's lighter. The entire car is lighter, but we've changed things. Like it has steel doors now. It's a steel hood, but it's actually a lighter car. But that's due to the reconstruction. You've taken the onboard charger, moved to the front, and the motor and everything sits in the front of the car. With anything, I thought the engineers really looked at the regenerative braking, the aerodynamics, and all of these things and how they work towards range. And I think the EPA range on our model year 11s and 12s were 73 miles. The sticker now shows 75 by the EPA, but the actual number is 84. I don't know if everyone's followed that. So the EPA is learning just like us, and they're rating our vehicle based on 100% and 80% charge modes. So how far can you go if you charge to 80 based on that and how charge? And they average the two to 90%, which I don't know if any of you are able to charge to 90%. If you are, please tell me how. But
Unplug.
yeah. So it's a little confusing, but we're working through that. But we gained about 11 miles of range just by looking at these. The heat pump, the energy management was a big thing. The aerodynamics, the honeycomb grill in the front, we just closed off a little bit of it, improved in the aerodynamics by 0.01 coefficient of drag, so now it's a little bit better, helps with range, and then the regenerative braking works in a wider range when you're in eco mode, captures more energy. Of course, low friction brake caliper, less friction whenever you're driving, so it helps with range. Little tweaks. We got a pretty big jump in range. We're using the same battery, a little bit different battery chemistry from 11s and 12s, but overall 24 kilowatt hour battery, same car. We already went through here. Oh, sun visor extensions and rear visibility, two big things. This sun visor extension thing was tough. I mean, we worked pretty hard to get that, and then it was in, it was out, it was in, it was out. We finally got it in. We said, people need this, And the day that they told me that they couldn't do it, obviously I was in Arizona at our test center, and I was driving a Leaf, and man, it was 100 and whatever on the ground, and the sun was just right here in my face, and the sun visor just didn't do it. So just the little things, and then the regulation on the rear headrest. We changed the design, slow back with 30 millimeter change to open up that back a little bit, so that there is a regulation on the height, on where they have to be. So our engineers worked through this design just to help with that. Packaging of it. So we moved the onboard charger to the front of the vehicle. If you haven't had a chance to look at the engine compartment of the 12s and the versus the 13, you can see there's quite a bit of difference. The 12s look like a valve cover from the inline 4 or something. When you open it, people go, this is an engine. But no, we changed the packaging a little bit. We have a larger cover that looks more, I guess, non-ICE-ish. And we moved all of it right to the front of the vehicle. So from a manufacturing standpoint, it makes it much easier to just build that unit and drop it in the car. So it'll help us, and we don't have any high voltage cable running from the front to the back. Opens up the back a little bit more between the strut towers. Added just a little bit of extra space back there. If you get the Bose option, takes up that space. But that's Bose first. That's their first attempt at an exposed waveguide box, so they're very proud of that. Sounds great. Car's so quiet, and I'm assuming you have the pretty.
Yes, I do, and it is great.
So,
but it does take up the space that's right there.
Yeah. Oh, I think I might have a picture of it. Yes, there it is, right there. So up in the top corner, it sits right there. Let's see. The IT system's been changed a little bit. Of course, the HMI on our system is sometimes a little bit confusing, so we've rearranged a few things, added some features. Long life mode was changed, and this screen up here on the top, you can set it from a different point in the menu. And then variable preheat and cool temperature setting. 11s and 12s were set, and I don't know if you've experienced it out here, colder weather, hotter weather, the cabin just didn't get hot enough or cool enough. It's at like, I can't even remember, 73 or something like 75. 78. Somewhere in between 73 and 78, it's in there. But it's not hot or cool enough. So we added the variable temperature setting so you can go in and set your own temperature whenever it preheats and pre-cools. It can be frigid and before you start your long drive. Eco route, it works on, the eco route itself just looks at non-highway driving. So it says here's route 1, straight down the highway, you're going to use this much energy, we're working on it, and the eco route takes you maybe around the highway to help save that, maximize that energy that you have. Charging station information, we're working on it constantly. Google local search was added to the car, Pandora link for your iPhones. Sorry, Androids, we're still working on that. And iPod cover art. So we're working on a lot of things. I guess point is that most of these things here were suggested by your group prior. So, thank you, and
A lot of this is software. Can the 2011, 2012 guys get any of that?
it's under discussion. A lot of it is software, but
Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of nice.
yeah.
Considering we suggested it.
Right. You're right, you're right. And we are looking at that in different ways to provide that. The IT system, the way the IT system and the software works in the 13s is a little bit different because of the vehicle redesign. So we are exploring that, and hopefully something will happen. Go ahead.
Well, I'm really gratified to hear that this is making a bundle off the leaf finally. But I'd like to ask a question on behalf of the class of 2011. We're the ones who pay top dollar.
Yeah.
And since you're making so much money, have you thought about a little rebate?
That's a tough one. We understand, and it's still one of those products that we are improving and working on financial programs for everyone. So, we understand early adopters, we appreciate everything, and please, we'll work with you as best we can. I'm not sure if we can work on a rebate, but that's not my area, so.
I'll settle for battery, improvements or.
Battery improvements?
The warranty, whatever.
Yeah.
To ensure later on in years that our battery is still usable.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's more important than money, is being able to use the car.
Of course.
I just got a letter this last week of a software upgrade in my 2011
Okay.
that says it incorporates a bunch of the 2013 improvements. Can you identify what those are?
No, I can't. I can't. And our field quality, once it gets past 11 and 12, field quality, they work in a different silo. So I know that they're working on some of those batches. I'm not sure what they are. So him back here.
So I'm going to rattle you off here.
Oh.
That's right. It's what I do.
It's my first time in San Francisco, by the way. So.
Yeah, welcome to the group. Real-time charger availability. Comment a little bit on that in the 2013. And for us to give us feedback on the next generations, we kind of need some trade-ups into the 2013 because we can only give you feedback on the 2011. And I think for an EV, with the charging infrastructure the way it is, that having the charging stations in the nav system is an essential basic vehicle function. So I don't know what the cost of putting the nav system in is. However, you might look at the S or the S Plus that's got the nav system, but you can only set charge stations as destinations. So that way, you're not giving away the whole nav, but you are enabling the vehicle.
Sure. Yeah, and the difference between the navigation unit and the S and the SV is that there's, along with just the base navi, there's the telecommunications that communicates and that downloads those charging stations. So the infrastructure is in its infancy right now, and we're seeing a lot of growth. So it's really hard to keep something like that if we didn't have the telecommunications in the car. So.
Well, you can drop the telecom, and as your battery checkup, you also get the update. So you just get yearly updates. So it's a little bit less than the upgraded model.
I'm gonna need some help with back there. Yeah, go ahead.
So what's the most effective means of providing product feedback? So posting of mine is on Leaf, calling the call center, posting on the BayLEAFs page. I mean, we have too many people here and a lot of opinions and different wants. What's the most effective way? And should people echo it and vote on them? An example would be about range, or about they don't like the battery warranty, or the $100 a month lease, anything like that. What's the most effective means?
Repeat the question again, please.
Yeah, what's the most effective means for product feedback to the organization? Right now we have, like you said, we have many different avenues. There's the 1-800 Nissan Leaf or no EV, gas EV. That's one avenue you can go. A lot of it's for customer support. If I would start that call center, and a lot of that stuff doesn't get fed back to the product planning group or something like that. I think as an organization, the BayLEAFs, if you guys would maybe pool your comments into one, and, you know, the questions that are repeated, you know, delete those and send it collectively through a representative, you know, even directly to me. I mean, we can work through that way. But that's probably the best way to work as a one-voice group. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, when you said repeated, deleted, would the number actually have some weight? Like if 100 people asked for this versus, you know, one guy?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. I'm sorry.
Repeat, please.
Oh, sorry. The question was, does the number of people that have the same comment have any weight on what the effectiveness of the comment? It's by case. Of course, if the entire LEAF customer base says this needs to be done, this is it. It sends a strong message to my group, to the R&D, to engineering, to everyone saying, you know, that this needs to be improved, and definitely something we'll work towards. So go ahead. Right in front of you. Yeah.
Okay. One thought about is they're doing changing around the apps, and it seems to be relatively easy, but there seems to have been a little change.
The offload apps, or
the app you get on your phone. Also, like when you go on the car wings, it opens up several different screens that you need to go through, and it could use some improvement.
No, the comment was that our apps and our website maybe need some improvement. You know, again, the race between consumer electronics and OEM, you know, standard programs and making those partnerships and developing those programs, it's a slow road for us right now, and we're losing the battle. Most people can pull out their phone and do you can't even comment on what you can do on your phone versus what you can do inside your car. So definitely something that we're studying right now, and there will be improvements moving forward on that type of thing.
When we bought the car week was included for 3 years. So any thought now what happens, we're coming up another year, we'll be at 3 years for the 2011s. What's Nissan's plan?
The question was, what's the plan after your Car Wings 3-year subscription comes up? It's a subscription, and we provide it for 3 years. So I can't comment on what the monthly plan is, or if it's a yearly. Definitely something that I can find out for you.
Very good. Grandfather is in, perhaps.
The 2011 guys, really appreciate
We'll get that section.
So what's that with
Yeah.
bid numbers less than
7,000
$7,000?
for monetary requests.
Just going back to the software update issue again, you know, I think a lot of people sort of have this notion of, oh, it should just be free, and obviously there's a cost involved in you guys testing and deploying that.
Right.
But one of the things that people have been left out of all this is the dealers, because we don't have to visit them very often. And since they don't have to change our oil, maybe what they could do is offer, you know, paid for upgrades for some of these things that people actually want to get.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever we started this discussion about LEAF, I'm sorry, the question is...
Yeah, the question is just, in thinking about that, you know, consider that we're not saying it has to be free. You could offer that and also appease the dealers too, and give them...
Write that down on the...
Well, right now we have no option at all. So,
Yeah,
you know, if you offered it for a charge, you'd actually find out how much people are actually willing to pay to get the upgrades.
I understand. And when we started this LEAF, and we told our after-sales team, our service team, that, you know, there's no oil in this thing, there's no belts, there's no, you know, the tires wear out. You know, they were really worried about how are we going to service this car, you know, and they're thinking of ideas about how to bring customers back. There's battery health checks, so you've probably seen programs, you can get updates in your car, but it's definitely something they're exploring, and, you know, we'll keep you up to date on what there is, but, you know, if you're willing to pay.
Having said that we're willing to pay, I also have friends who have Teslas who wake up in the morning with new features announced on their dashboard.
Yeah. Yeah. They
fully vetted.
Yeah. Well, they did pay.
Release often.
Yeah. They did. Yeah. They did pay $100,000 for the car. Proportionally, yeah. I mean, but that's the idea is. Well, we take the research center. I'm sure here in advanced planning, everyone's looking at these IT things and what your smartphone is doing and how we can improve updates to the BCM. We're seeing other manufacturers doing so. It's definitely a push for us. Right here.
Anytime.
so your title includes the word planning, which sort of implies the future. And one future question on DC fast charging and the standard, as you know, there are at least 3 standards in the market, if you can call them standards, given that there are more than one. You know, Tesla's got its own, you got yours, maybe with one other guy, whatever the Mitsubishi is on there, and then everybody seems to be the, you know, if you had to make a prediction, how soon is this going to at least narrow down from 3 to 2?
Well,
and if so, will you be part of joining them at the 85% of car
well,
companies?
you said there's us and Mitsubishi, and then you said there's everyone else, but there's no one else yet with the combo plug on the road. So Tesla's out there doing their own thing, sort of like Apple did with the iPod. So they're working on their own protocol. They have a different service, a different way to talk to their customers. So they have their own. Right now, 70 to 80% of the vehicles on the road are CHAdeMO. Most of them Leafs. So right now, Nissan's committed to CHAdeMO. I mean, it's we consider it our global standard right now. Even if this happened, I think that the two could live together for a while. So until we see a real competitor in the market that's willing to offer fast charging, and people are installing fast chargers as much as we are, we're sticking with CHAdeMO.
So you basically believe that all the other companies are just not going to roll out? I mean, it seems like it's just a matter of time, right? And it may not be this month or next, but a year or two, you're going to have 50 different models. So.
Sure. Yeah, and that's another slide I didn't show here. The competitive landscape is going to get crazy here in a little while. Everyone's coming to the market. And no, that's not what I'm saying. From a planning perspective, yes, we are looking at those. But we've seen a lot of buzz introductions. We've seen a lot of vehicles. Ford came out, Honda came out, and they were doing this, they were doing that. No one's really stepped up and said we're committed like Nissan has. And until we see a manufacturer do that and start selling in volume like we are, we're going to continue to pass it along. In the back.
It might sound like I'm rambling, but about 12 years ago I started converting ICE cars to electric, just because I wanted to drive electric. And about 10 years ago I started what I thought was going to be my last one, because I figured this is going to be the car that's going to go far enough and be nice enough and want to drive every day. And then you guys came out with a Leaf, and I ended up selling that car and I bought a Leaf. And day 2 I started figuring out what I could start doing to my Leaf. And I've got leather interior, horn upgrades, you name it. I'd wrap a woody wrap on the car. But I think what Nissan needs to do is come up with an effective store where you could sell stuff that were only for the Leaf. Like I went to looking for a steering wheel cover for my Leaf. I don't see one from Nissan for the Leaf.
So
most of the ones out there are too big for a Leaf.
Yeah.
Put some cool Nissan gear you want on the website.
Nissan gear.
Not necessarily that one product, but I'm saying that this is something that Nissan needs to think about.
Yeah.
If their dealers are going to start suffering because they don't have all the service work, they might be able to start selling more stuff in their dealerships and keep people coming back in for new products.
Yeah. I work pretty closely with our accessory group, so please, if you have suggestions, I'm willing to pitch it to them, because they're always looking for ideas. You can only sell so many spoilers and splash guards, or kick plates, but yes, we do need some variety out there, and I think out of all the vehicles in our lineup right now, the personalities that drive these vehicles, are much different. Or you have a certain personality, but you have your own idea of how you want to drive the Leaf, and you want to make a statement. I can see that. So, any suggestions that you have, definitely. I think I'm over there.
Yeah, one thought I had on your software issue. I don't know if this is working.
Speaking to the bud.
Is that working?
Yep.
Okay.
Switch on top, sorry.
Is an app store. Is an app store like Apple's done with their iPhone. I mean, you were saying Nissan's maybe not the best at keeping their software up to date, but if you open that up to other people to write software for the car that was, curated through Nissan so they didn't do something stupid.
Right.
That might be a pretty cool thing, and that would be something that you could sell through dealers, etc. I mean, I could imagine there's a lot of really interesting stuff that could be done that way.
Yeah, open source or something like that would be very nice, you know, but Greg's legal team might have something to say about that too. So, yeah, definitely a good suggestion.
So I'd like to jump in here with the organizer's prerogative and ask another question about the future, which is several months ago Nissan issued, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
So Nissan issued a press release saying something like 16 models of hybrids would be developed over the next few years, or would offer up to 16 models in hybrid form in that time frame. So the first question is an extended range hybrid in the mix for that, or extended range electric vehicle, in the sense that Infiniti has already announced with the Emerge concept car that that's an extended range. And then secondly, just from a philosophical perspective, can you comment on where Nissan stands on pure battery electric versus extended range electric?
You know, they're just different categories. We see them as different categories right now, and we're not going to blend the two upcoming. The hybrid technology developed, I think it's less expensive than the battery electric technology in developing new platforms for battery electric vehicles. So I think you're going to see, and it does help with MPG gas and everything like that. So it makes sense to combine the two. I think it's customer accepted a little bit more. So that's the first step for a lot of our vehicles to go.
So from the battery versus extended range, or in other words, does Nissan, and I don't know if you can comment, favor developing larger batteries that provide the range that all of us have been asking for, or an extended range as a short-term solution to get to that point?
Well, I can promise you Leaf will never be an extended range vehicle with any type of tailpipe. We're committed to battery electric as an ideal, as a zero emissions alternative, so we're going to continue that. Right now, as far as the future goes, we're exploring which is the best alternative. I mean, you see different vehicles, extended range vehicles like the Volt. What is a customer more willing to pay for or to drive, and what's more expensive, and what is the best mix of those two together? So we're still exploring it. But as far as zero emissions, Leaf will always be zero emissions.
Yeah, well, will it ever be a longer range zero emission?
Well, I mean, it's like his comment on the storage, 4 gigabytes, 2 gigabytes, or when we first came out, with the iPod, the storage was ample. We're always looking to improve that. And I made a comment before this meeting is that as long as it's a discussion item that we have to talk about, we're always going to be looking for ways to improve it. So, if the next time in a few years we don't have to talk about range, then that's what we've done our job. So yes, we're exploring things, but they're to be determined on the execution.
All right, so I have a no-brainer for you, and yet it hasn't happened.
Okay.
Why can't I buy a green Leaf? We keep asking for it. Where is it?
Added another white and another
gray. Yeah, to be honest, Nissan does gray very well. On many of our cars. Green Leaf,
Write it down, Mike, write it down.
It is, and obviously it's a discussion item that we talk about a lot. Green is a hard color to execute, to be honest. Green's a pretty hard color to execute. You use some greens on the road that just look bad. Then you have 100 greens that look too dark, so it's a difficult color, honestly.
Okay, so many of us 2011 ordered the car a year before it was available and watched carefully as ships were coming across the ocean, waiting for our cars to come in anticipation. But one of the things we thought we were buying, which we didn't get, is the 100-mile range. I mean, that was what Nissan talked about, but no one had ever driven one, so we accepted 100-mile range. But Nissan it still is not delivering a 100-mile range. Do you guys feel like maybe you owe us something? About 20 miles or something is missing?
You know, and as we've always said, it's a range of range, and I'm going to be very political here, and my legal team is already about to text me now. But you know, whenever we started with the, in the beginning, it was an LA4 mode driving cycle. The EPA cycle is 5 cycle, it's much rougher on the vehicle.
But much more realistic. Unfortunately, nobody gets 100 around here.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten a 100-mile range?
I have personally, but I live in Nashville where I don't have to hop on the highway as
You
much.
must
So.
have been doing 35
And there's no
miles an
hills
hour
everywhere in
the whole
Nashville,
time.
so, yeah, that's true. You know, so, but you can get a 100-mile range. So what's 100 miles?
Someone can get on.
Right.
There's a 100-mile club, but it's not a big club.
Definitely not something that I can argue with. But, you know, the EPA tests us differently. We're working our way. We moved from 73 to 84. We think we can continue that and those improvements over the years. So, yes, you know, we'll get there. In the back.
Sorry, about the 100-mile range, there's still some people being told that the range is 100 miles. Be it dealers, be it auto show reps.
Sure.
I've heard this, that messaging needs to change.
Right.
Or, say 100 miles at 19 miles per hour average,
Right. Well,
people that have gas cars, 100 miles.
yeah.
They're going to be disappointed.
Well, you know, we can't control everyone. As far as the communication goes, and, you know, whenever we changed the way we communicated that from a corporate standpoint, we stopped doing that. Maybe from a dealer standpoint, as it trickles down, it didn't change. And honestly, it's about the dealer education and the salesman education and people that are driving the cars, because they don't actually know what that means. And
I've heard of it at auto shows.
Right.
Nissan reps. Other people have had other auto shows and other parts.
Yeah.
Here in San Francisco. Not some examples.
I need names. Let me know. Go ahead.
I'd like to, first of all, commend you for getting the dealerships to put in fast chargers everywhere. On the downside, if you want to use one after hours, you're out of luck. So is there any plans to fix that?
Call the 800 number on the side of the unit.
Well, you can see.
This guy,
They refused when I called them.
We're looking at passing a lot.
They're remotely activated, that good?
Yeah, we've called before. I pretended to not work at the dealership and said, hey, I went to this fast charger on how to turn it on. You guys are, where are you? I'm in front of Boardwalk Nissan on 1 Bear Island Road. Unit kicked on.
Okay.
So there you go. Done.
That's the regular customer support.
Correct.
So let me just do one thing real quick here. So we've been asking a lot of questions. Let's give Mike an opportunity to ask a question. If you don't want to, we'll go another few minutes with questions.
You know, I think my questions would only beg more questions.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, no,
Bring it.
yeah. No, it's okay. There's a lot of questions. If you would, just for me, compile some suggestions and your questions, and that would help me out the most.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm curious, as long as we were talking about range, if Nissan is, just to understand better what might be happening, is Nissan committed to this 24 kilowatt hour car with a certain defined volume for batteries, slowly, incrementally achieving greater range because of improvements that happen at 5 or 8% a year?
Mm-hmm.
And is it just a commitment not to offer choice, or sort of a constraint of the design that says that don't expect, you know, I mean, I think people understand these things cost money, but I'll bet there are a lot of people in this room who would give you serious money for 10 kilowatts more, kilowatt hours more, or 6 kilowatt hours. I realize it's not, you know, just simple, you just stick it in the glove compartment. But, you know, you've got people who want it, and I'm wondering if it's just something we should stop hoping for and assume we'll get some incremental improvements, or if there's some possibility in that regard.
There's endless possibilities. It's always a possibility. Let me back up. I'm sorry. That was
For a better answer.
Better answer. I know. I'm not allowed. You know, I can't speak on the future of the product itself. But what I can say, you know, if you look competitively in the market right now, what everyone is releasing with, There's not many that have maybe, I don't think there's any that have over a 24. Besides Tesla, and the car's $100,000.
RAV4 EV.
RAV4 EV.
40 kilowatt hour.
40 kilowatt, and how much is it's a Tesla, how much is a car, and how many are they producing? So, I mean, it's there's a balance. What's that?
Out the dealer, 30,000.
After dealer 30?
But they're an anomaly, because they're not producing them. We
Right.
respect you because
Sure.
you're making a mass-produced car.
Right.
What we're saying is, boy, give us a mass-produced car that's got 20% more range.
Yep.
I mean, I'm someone who's still got a 12-year-old electric car that has more range than Leaf.
Sure. Sure. No, yes, this is the number one, I would say complaint, the number one reject reason it would be for the Nissan Leaf is range. Range and price, those two things. So they kind of work hand in hand though. You want more range, you got to add more price. You want more, anything. Right now, the Leaf was developed with the latest chemistry for the battery to optimize the weight, the range, and the seating in the car. So yes, we're exploring new options, and just like every other technology, there's going to be improvements not only with incremental improvements to the way that we do aerodynamics, those are what we're working with now, but also battery chemistry and other. So yes, we're committed to battery electric vehicles and not committed to 24, but stay tuned. Right. That's you. Yeah.
An article the other day about fuel cell vehicles, not to change the subject. Next year they say not if, but when now. I think that next year there's going to be 5 production model fuel cell vehicles on the market. I think Nissan is one of those.
I'm not on the fuel cell program.
Okay.
But
so the question I'm leading to is there going to be a hybrid electric fuel cell car?
That's a good hybrid electric fuel cell. I mean, I've seen reports on that. I can't comment from the Nissan side. I do know that fuel cell also has the same problem that Leaf has, but with infrastructure. And it's very expensive to put in fueling stations, and that everyone has electricity available. We just haven't put stations in, so it's a viable solution. Fuel cell definitely is.
I guess one thing I'll add is, of course, the Terminator, the Governator, of course, set up the fuel cell highway. I'm not sure how far they are with that, but California seems to be working on infrastructure. I guess not far.
Yeah. One or two more. There's one way in the back.
Is the 2013, does that have basically 2 of the 2012 chargers basically in parallel? Is that what it is?
No, it's just a larger onboard charger.
It's a larger onboard charger.
It's
so,
just larger.
I mean, just dealing with other electric vehicles, a 6 kilowatt charger you can get for about $1,500, weighs about 12 pounds. Is there a way of selling that as an accessory, so when you're taking a road trip, you can have like a little box that would come attached with a second J1772 port? Because I'd say more than 30 or 40% of the charge station installations have 2 J plugs next to each other. They can't source more than 6,000 watts or from any one source, but you can charge twice as fast.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Right now the proprietary charging spot is your home, so having 2 J1772 for most people is not practical. So
I have 3. And
well,
and he's not telling you it's a motorcycle.
Yeah, okay, so I'll be there.
Well, we just took a trip from Canada to Mexico, EV rally. There's a bunch of Leafs in there, a bunch of Tesla S's, and let me tell you, all these charge stations plugging into one 1772 when there's 4 available, it drives you mad.
Yeah, write that one down. That's a good one.
Well, you said you're in the accessory program, so I figured that could be an accessory. They have to be on board. You can take it in and out when you're taking a road trip.
That's a good idea.
Related to that, I think there's people here that have worked on aftermarket stuff, doing a lot of reverse engineering. I think related to the marketplace, I think if I can project more, I think there's a little bit of more room for. I know Nissan, I think, has been fairly hands-off and in a very nice way, but it could even facilitate some more of aftermarket engineering with some support. And the other things is there are some key components, like when people look at it, what he was talking about, with a cheap CHAdeMO connector would enable a lot of cool things that people, and a little bit, and people be, and maybe a little support of the protocol. And people have been talking about vehicle to house, vehicle to grid, but a lot of that is constrained by the fact that you can't buy that freaking connector for research purposes. And some vehicle protocols, just a little bit of vehicle protocol support would be really helpful.
If only they had a research center or something that could help us. Where would it be?
One more.
So my Leaf spends 8 hours a day sitting in a parking lot in the California sunshine.
Yeah.
If there were 500 watts of solar panels built into the roof of my Leaf, I'd almost never have to plug it in.
Sure. Yeah, it's one of those, another, how much do you want to spend for the car? That's definitely...
Dealer accessory.
Dealer accessory. We're going to accessorize the heck out of this car. You guys get ready to spend some money because there's going to be a lot coming out.
All right,
Okay,
very
yes.
good. So, Mike, will be around.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Same choice as Greg. Extra large in the official BayLEAF shirt or large with the official? All right, very good.
I survived. I survived.
Yeah.
All right.
Terrific. Let's have another round of thanks for all of our speakers tonight. Very interesting subjects. Okay, so we got about 15 minutes left, and we decided to push the upcoming events and announcements out to the end here, so it's time. So anyway, so what's coming up in the near term? Basically, I'm going to ask in a minute Jeannie Lamb to go through some things that she's got on the books that she'll be requesting some help for. Some of them as soon as next week, I believe, right? Yeah, okay. There's this other company in town called Tesla, you may have heard of. They're having a big users meeting this weekend, starting tomorrow.
It's sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out. So, and okay, so you can't if you're not in, you're not in, right? Is that
George and I are going.
basic? Okay. But if you're not in by now, it's
As far as
out.
I know.
It's sold out.
It's sold out.
How many people up for that?
Don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Bring us a report.
I will.
All right, very good. The North Bay EAA, they usually meet the same day as our usual meeting is, but since we're here on Thursday night, if you find yourself around Santa Rosa, drop in. They're going to be talking about Sonoma Clean Power up there. The following, also this weekend, right, the 13th and the 14th, is the Los Altos Food and Wine, Art and Wine Festival. This one is basically an opportunity to meet the general public. They already have cars, so we don't need any more cars. The festival is free, so if you want to just go, show up, and spend an hour or two at the Greentown Los Altos booth, talk EVs to people. A number of us have done their EV of the week on their Thursday night farmers market. And the feedback is that it's very busy, so I promise you won't be bored if you go there. Then the following Saturday, Silicon Valley EAA. Tom, do you want to talk about, got a speaker? Oh, okay.
BMW.
Okay, excellent.
So confirmed, HP Palo Alto. HP Palo Alto, 10 o'clock, Saturday morning on the 20th.
Good. All right, thanks. East Bay EAA meets on the 4th Saturday of the month, that's the 27th. They hadn't yet published a speaker for this one, that's up in the Alameda. And then August 3rd, Saturday now, the Golden Gate EVA is meeting at Luscious Garage. Last interaction that I had with those folks, they were possibly going to have a Fiat 500 there. Mark, do you have any update?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, okay. Is that something where you need a larger attendance to get to incentivize Fiat to come, or?
No, I don't
No, okay, so you're still working on it?
Still working on it.
All right, very good. And then, again, in Los Altos on the 11th, there's Green Day on the Green. And this is, again, Green Team Los Altos. They're closing off a whole block of State Street for remodeling it, and on that day, they're rolling out a green carpet. And I think EASV has a booth there already, and we're looking to probably go jointly with you, so.
Come to the booth and talk, share your stories with the general public. Not any room to have cars on display, as I understand, but maybe we can work something in the parking lot or something. Could be worked out.
Okay, very good. So, where's Marina? There, okay. Marina, you want to come up and talk about the slides, this slide with future events that we have planned?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Coming up next month, we're going to have an EV Summit, which is pretty much a family-friendly event. It's going to be an EV social. Everybody's welcome. Google's going to host us in their Mountain View campus. And then in conjunction to that, we are hosting with Nissan Sustainability Hackathon. And for those two events, we are eagerly looking for volunteers to help us out. So I have sign-up sheets that are available, and after the meeting, please come see me and leave your names and contact info. Coming up in September, we have Plug-in Day. Silicon Valley is going to be at De Anza College in Cupertino, so we're going to have cars on display, ride and drives, and everybody's welcome to come and talk to the public about your EVs and your driving experience if you're a Nissan Leaf or any other EV you own. Then on September 29th, the San Francisco location this year is in San Rafael, and we also need volunteers for the booth, so if anybody's living up north, let us know if you can go and support that event. So this is my information down below, and I have sign-up sheets also for Jeannie's events that she's going to talk about later. Please come and support us and help us out. We always will welcome any volunteers, any other interaction or involvement you want to participate or contribute, let us know.
What happens at a hackathon?
Stay tuned. Yeah, well, we're going to have teams of people that are going to come either with business idea or marketing idea or any other idea, and then team up with software developers and actually work on solutions and applications over the course of 2 days. And it's a competition, there will be some prizes. It's a fun day, and it's, there's some really cool ideas to come up with if you're already thinking about something. It's pretty much open to anything that you can come up with that you think that would improve either an EV driver's experience or anything related to your car, engage in anything software related. You'll pitch your idea, and then software developers join the team, and then you work together and present to the team of judges.
So does the winner get to pitch to Mike at the end?
We certainly will have somebody from Nissan be a judge, and then yes, and pitch to Nissan. But we're looking into bringing charging companies on board and some of the charging apps, and so we'll have more companies participate. So we're still in planning stage, but yeah, come and talk to us about it. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Marina. And Jeannie, you want to talk about what you're doing locally in the near future?
I'll be quick. I just want to thank everyone who's helped in the last couple months at Google and all the other employers. So it looks like July and August is going to be an Oracle and Cisco month. Time for a lot of, you can see all the events that we have planned. So to Marina's point, she has a sign-up sheet, and if you'd like to join us, a lot of the employees at Cisco or at Oracle probably want to talk to owners and your experience with your own Leaf, and that's worked really well at all the other events. So come on by, and I think I see some Cisco employees in the audience already, so or some Oracle employees, so it'd be great. Yeah.
So question. What's kind of your sweet spot? How many cars, how many owners would you like at each event?
That'd be great. That's a good question. The question was how many owners and vehicles would be appreciated at the events. Just so you know, we bring a dealer that brings all the vehicles there. They do the ride and drives, and they have a static display. And your vehicle obviously is always appreciated as well. If people want to compare different model years. And, you know, we've had about 3 or 4, Marina, I think, in terms of volunteers at each of the events, and that's been sufficient, and it's worked out well. And they usually between 11 to 2. We go to these employers during their lunchtime, and so, you know, if you want to just join for a half hour or less, or, you know, whenever you can, you're welcome to join.
Just throw in the dealer angle. We absolutely love it because no matter how well versed my dealer is in Leaf, we wear the Eagle car salesman hat at these events.
That's right.
So when you guys say, I have a Leaf, I've had it for years, it speaks volumes to the actual product that we can't ever convey.
Right.
Because no matter what, we're always nefarious for, you know, off the for-profit business.
So that's Boardwalk Nissan, a wonderful dealer here tonight. And Brendan Dolan is a great you know, contributor when we go to all these events. So it's right, in terms of having a wonderful dealer there, you know, and having owners is a good compliment.
What's the EV workshop?
EV workshop, good question. There is a downtown San Francisco Nissan on Van Ness and Bush. They're going to be holding the EV workshop really just for anyone who wants a redelivery of their vehicle. They're also going to have speakers from all the different charging station companies. We're looking at ChargePoint. There'll be a solar company there as well. SunPower, one of our official partners from Nissan. So we're looking at planning. This one's kind of tentative on all the agenda items, but we just wanted to give you a heads up. There might be a workshop in the city. A lot of the folks might not be able to come to these meetings in the South Bay, so we're going to have something up in the city as well. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jeannie. So announcements and activities. So we mentioned at the top of the meeting that we have a new partner, and that's Sungevity Solar. So George, or did you read it? Yeah. So I think the deal is you get $750 of savings if you're an SF BayLEAFs member and you buy a solar system, and then we get $750 as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So similar to what you get with solar harmonics. So okay, Refuel 2013. That was 2 weeks ago this weekend, and that was actually Electric Vehicle Day at Laguna Seca Racetrack. So who was there? I know Jim was there. The Corcorans were there. Yeah, the Darnauers, right? Marino was there. Tom, yeah, actually, I like Tom's shirt. This is Tom, right here. I don't know if you can read that, but it says, "Gasoline is so last century." So basically what it was 3 things here. Basically, there were time trials, so that's the fastest that an electric vehicle goes around the track. And I think basically in production class and in customized or conversion class. Autocross, which was more of a parking lot kind of event, and then the spectator parade lap. So we actually have some videos here. I think what I want to do is I want to show Jim's video first, which is, yeah, this one. Yes. So this is actually going around the track in the parade lap. That's Jerry Pohorski's Thing City, right? Is that right, Jim? It's Beckett. Oh, okay, that you're following. So this is kind of the back stretch. That's what, turn 5? Now you're going. How fast are you going, Jim, on this? You can only go 50. 50? 50.
Some of us went 60. You can't see the curve. The issue is you don't see the curve.
This is the corkscrew. That's what they're talking about. This is really harrowing to drive through at speed, let me tell you. And you'll see, this is what we're going to see in the next video, actually. we're back to the starting point.
I can see why I enjoy driving this, okay?
Looks like we're not gonna go around another time.
Thanks, sir. Looks like it.
So this is the start right here. All right, so let's go back and we'll see the other video. So this is where that one just stopped is right here, where everyone these are the spectators, right? The non-race drivers.
Well,
Or
we all drove.
oh, we all drove. All right, because basically it looks like the vehicles are out on the track.
That's a Tesla race. That was the 6 p.m. I think Tesla race.
Ah, okay. All right. Very good. All right. So we talked about, you saw from the driver's perspective going through the corkscrew. Okay. Maybe we should have started with this one. But this is now a video. This angle doesn't do justice to the slope of this particular curve. This is really pretty steep and harrowing as you're going through it. There, that was the right way to go through it, was edge to inside to inside. There it was, that was another good one.
Yeah, those Teslas.
Yeah. Did they have professional or school drivers? That's why.
They
Yeah.
had really, really young kids driving that were fearless. Yeah, and it wasn't their car, exactly. And their husband wasn't driving their car. I didn't ask wife for it.
Okay. So that was a lot of fun. I can tell you 2012 was a lot of fun too, so we'll look forward to doing it again next year. All right.
Can we get these on the commit a fast charger quicker?
Well, that's a challenge. So, but maybe if we start working on it now, we'll get it. All right.
There was one this year.
So, all right, we'll come back to the slide on new logo and club business cards coming in a second here. Again, at the next meeting. And if you'd like to have seat heaters retrofitted into your 2011 Leaf,
Thank you, guys.
there's a testimony right there. Actually, Maddie's got a bunch of us have it. Jim's got it. Who else in the room? Yeah, Ron, yeah, and yeah, Arnold, yeah. So, and I've got it as well. So it's great, especially if you're driving down Main Street, Los Gatos on a really cold summer night. Really helps. So one of the things that you can expect to see coming up here in the next month or so, is we'll be publishing a newsletter, and embedded in that newsletter will be a sign-up, not really a sign-up form, but basically, because if you get the newsletter, you're already in our system. But it will not only be newsy, but it will allow you to choose what sort of level of communication you want with the club. So that's coming up relatively soon. We have a couple of things, a couple of guests here tonight that we have. I think many of you probably met Valerie already, who was sitting back here. He's got a Kickstarter project, and Greenie, who's working at Amara Energy. They have a survey. I forgot to include the link to it here. Where's Greenie? Yeah, here. So. Can you send? We'll get the link out when we publish the minutes of this meeting. So, okay, new logo. Here we are. So basically, we're updating our look a little bit. Marina's been working with a graphics designer So we actually have two versions. So one of them is what you'll see on cards, banners, and our stationery, such as it is, electronic stationery. As you can see, the gray up here, the gray doesn't quite project as well in a meeting situation like this, so we have a second version that actually has the dark blue letters, and so you'll see that on our presentation template. So that's coming up in the near future, and I think I covered everything, right? Actually, we have cards here. One of the things that people have been asking for is there a generic club card? And how many do we have?
1,200.
1,200. So a lot of people have been asking to have a generic card. Ooh. So here they are with a new logo. We'll be happy to distribute these to anyone that wants them. Keep them in your car. When you see another leaf, just kind of slip it down between the window and in the insulation on the driver's side, and they won't miss it when the owner comes back. Okay. I think that's all that I have planned. Anybody else have any announcements that they want to make before we break out? Yeah, Maddie.
Hi, I'm Maggie Sojourner, I'm the treasurer of BayLEAFs. If you didn't catch me when you came in, because some of you got here early, and you wanted to make a donation to cover food, be sure to see me before you leave. Thanks very much.
Okay, Marina?
I don't know how I could have forgot the really important thing. We're planning a field trip to visit the Nissan factory in Tennessee, and we'll be taking along some of our members. So the deal is, please sign up and volunteer. The more times you volunteer and help us with different events, the more interest to the lottery you get.
We're going to drive there?
We'll be flying.
73 miles at a time.
Yeah, 73 at a time. All right, good. Anyone else? Any other announcements? Before we go, I want to acknowledge the consistent and efforts of Kim Kinoshita, who takes the minutes at all of these meetings. Those summaries that you see at the end of the meeting, I mean, the slides are relatively easy compared to sitting and taking notes and writing it all up in a coherent fashion, but that's exactly what Kim does. And every month we publish those out online, and so thanks to Kim for that effort. So, as you heard, we're looking at the EV Summit in August, so that may take the place of our regular meeting. Watch the website, watch the Facebook page, and watch your email for details. All right, so we'll see you all then. Thanks.